Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's the last day of the Go Viral Festival here in Almaty, Kazakhstan. My name is Susanna Wood, and my guest here today is Elnura Alkanova. She is from Kyrgyzstan, and she's an investigative journalist. And so we're going to talk about a little bit about the overall state of journalism in Kyrgyzstan and what lessons can be applied to other countries in Central Asia based off of her experience. So thank you for joining me today, Elnura. It's nice to see you here. Before we go into our talk about journalism, could you just tell the audience a little bit about yourself? Like, how did you decide to become a journalist? Is this something that was it a childhood dream of yours, or is it something
Never was a dream of my life. But in 2015, when I finished my study at Diplomatic Academy, and then it was the last year of my studies, and I was traveling quite a long time, approximately maybe I spent 1 year in Southeast Asia. And after this, I totally changed my mind, and I found out that I don't know what to do with my life. Because I know that I'm really honest person. Very honest. I'm very honest with my parents, honest with my friends, and always I used to have problems while saying the truth. And then I realized that probably I should start with that. And if there is anything what I can do, and I can get some money by using probably my knowledge, I mean, my inspiration, my personal beliefs, and then I had a chance to meet with editors at Club. It's a Bishkek-based media, so they did many great investigations for last 5 or maybe 10 years. And it was a great opportunity for me to start with them. And they appreciated that. I said, can I try just to become your volunteer? And I speak English, I can translate. I speak Uzbek, I speak Kyrgyz fluently, and I speak a little bit Persian, like conversational Spanish. Maybe I can be useful for you. And then that was my first chance. Then I spent, after 2 months when I spent my time at Club, and then I just smoothly continued to work with them.
So you never received any like formal training in journalism, is that right?
At that time, no. But then after 1 year working with Club, and then we did one big investigation, kind of. I mean, it was my first investigation in my life, and it seemed like to me like it was a big one. And after when I published, and then I decided. So I think Kyrgyzstan is very close, very small for me, and I just need to look wider and just to get more opportunities abroad. And then I get a chance to participate at the project. It was a special project for investigation journalism at Associated Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project. So in Azerbaijan, that time, Khadija Ismail, another great journalist, she got jailed, and they opened it. So they called application for investigative journalists, and they did. So if you're jailed, Khadija Ismailova, we will find another great young journalist, and then we will raise more investigative journalists. And then I won that project, and I spent 1 year in Bosnia and Herzegovina. It was a great training for me, like for the whole year.
I was so interested when you were talking about your when you urged the audience during your presentation to really reach out to some of these international journalism organizations like Committee to Protect Journalists, and that you, through some of your experiences, you've gotten to meet with journalists from Africa and Asia and other parts of the world. And when you met some of those people and you realized, like, wow, I'm one person, but the fact that there's a network of these people all over the world, and there is some strength in numbers. I mean, when you were really under pressure in Kyrgyzstan, did you feel their strength supporting you, these journalism?
I realized that from around the world. It is actually only the first step, what I did in my career. Only first, not second, not third, only first. And then I realized that the situation, I mean, what we have in Kyrgyzstan, so it is probably more perspective for young journalists, and everything depends on us and what we will do, and then it will reflect for the whole Central Asia. But then when I saw many other investigative journalists from the many other countries, even I met some IT specialists. They become investigative journalism, and then helping, they're making that databases, and they are analyzing information, because it's a big part of investigative journalism. And then they become the member of parliament in Iceland. So how great, I mean, to work and to publish facts, analyze information, and then get a power and then influence from the other side, and making the government more transparent, and helping for journalists, making the world, I mean, the government system more accountable, more transparent.
At the same time, I would say the media, I think, is under assault all over the world. I mean, you have well-known political leaders, I won't name them, that call the media enemy of the people. I mean, that's a phrase from Stalin's time. And there's journalists are still being put in jail, killed around the world. I mean, Kyrgyzstan's case is rather mild compared to some other countries where journalists are really in danger for their lives based on what they report.
Yeah, but I don't like compare, like, oh, where is the danger? Where is more dangerous to cover news, to provide investigations? Where is more danger? I think it's a wrong question, because another important part, it is probably when authorities, they kill somebody, they kill journalists. Yes, it's their impression. Yeah, it's our life, and it's our risk. And before going to this area, before, you should understand that you are responsible. You have to be responsible for your family members, and to know that once somebody can make anything with you, with your life. But the problem is that what happening in Ukraine, what happening in Russia, and comparing to what happening in Kyrgyzstan. In Kyrgyzstan, the most dangerous thing it is silence.
Self-censorship, or
censorship,
being afraid of being sued or arrested,
or just simple ignorance. Sometimes people read news, people see, and you cannot see the emotions. You cannot call them just to act, to do anything with your life. Many people see in Kyrgyzstan how big political corruption, petty corruption, but the petty corruption, it totally depends on the society, of society's behavior. And people always judge somebody, but next day, after when they criticizing anyone at Facebook, and then next day they will drive their car, and they just easily they will provide a bribe for
it's
police.
Almost like Facebook has let people off the hook, because you're right, I think it's true. People, they comment on Facebook, and that gives them the opportunity to just kind of put their feelings out, and then they just can walk away from that issue, and
we don't see a reflection.
Taking action.
We don't see a reflection. So we see how this world is mad, how this world is dirty, but let's start with yourself. So just now, this evening at prime time at television, you saw the big corruption story. So where many people has involved, and most of parts there, it's authorities, high-profile officials. Yeah, okay, that's true. But another part it is after, okay, you can get angry for 15 minutes, but then next day, people really, they're continuing giving bribes.
They don't change their behavior.
They don't want to. They don't want the systematically changes.
That must be frustrating. What about the case that really brought a lot of attention to you, where you investigated corruption about a land sale and you were actually threatened with jail time? Can you tell our audience just a little bit about that case and how it was resolved ultimately?
That situation totally was solved with the help of readers, people who follow my investigations, because there was many actions, many protests, few protests held in Bishkek, in front of finance police office, and there was another 2 protests in Russia, because many young people from Kyrgyzstan, they migrated in Russia, and they feel, they more feel freedom, because they don't depend on state salary, or they don't have a business or any property in Kyrgyzstan, and probably they have a more inspiration, or maybe motivation to say anything.
So Kyrgyz nationals living in Russia actually protested for...
They also protested.
For your release? Or for you... And in the end, you did not serve any jail time for your article?
So there was few actually situations what helped me to get... just to drop up that case. It is, of course, transition of presidency. So, and of course, there are more. Of course, another political maybe powers. I don't know different words to explain.
They decided they didn't want all this bad publicity for Kyrgyzstan, or they kind of...
Yeah, because probably it's a pluralism. Yeah. So we call it pluralism. Pluralism also helped me, because many different opinions, and of course mostly media depends of somebody's pocket, or state-owned media works there, but still there are few independent media exists in Kyrgyzstan, and some independent media they have. Of course, they have. Financially, they involved with some maybe politicians, and it depends on their pockets. But still, it's a pluralism of media and a pluralism of opinions. This is also maybe the good. What to say? It also helped me. Also, no, but mostly audience.
So people do care then.
People do care.
It sounds like, that your article, your work resonated in society, and people did come out and support you, and that's probably that public pressure is what ultimately led the authorities to drop this case against you.
My case, according to my case, people helped me. But what about others? There was many other cases with the other journalists, Kyrgyz journalists. They fled country
because they couldn't.
And what about audience? So nobody cared. Nobody cared. Why? Because I'm a female journalist, and because I'm young, or because I did really big corruption investigations, or I provided maybe more strong facts. So depends on maybe style of your works, style of your the way how you publish, the way how you protect yourself, and the way how you are building your own strategy. Because from the beginning, when I realized that they're gonna initiate a criminal case against me, so I asked the question simply, I'm ready.
Did you
to
think
flee from the country?
Did you think of leaving at that
No.
point? You never thought
So
to leave?
from the beginning, I knew that for the next maybe half a year, so they're gonna be the big pressure, and I have to decide. So I'm gonna stay here and fight in country, or just flew and then just trying maybe to find other job, and just more starting to care about myself, about my family. So it was a big question to me before, just to build up the good strategy and then to understand, because we have to be responsible also for audience. We have to appreciate our audience. If they're spending time, they're reading, they're analyzing, they're writing, even one small post on Facebook or on Twitter, even they held protests. So most parts of Kyrgyz citizens, so they work for $2,000 per month, and they
salaries are very low.
They cannot care about maybe one journalist, investigative reporter somewhere around Bishkek, because they have small kids. But they spend even 1 hour and join to the action. And journalists supposed to appreciate it and be responsible for your audience and stay here, protect yourself, protect your audience, and just continue work. I really wanted to stop, actually, to exit with investigations. Even I'm now TV host at state television, and I get married, and now I'm pregnant, and
congratulations.
Thank you. Before, a couple of years ago, so 100% of my time I spent for my career. Now I'm spending only 40% maybe. But
let's talk about the work that you did recently. I read your article about your investigation into the webcam modeling business in Kyrgyzstan, and the fact you found that many young girls under the age of 18 are performing online sex acts for foreigners.
Are you talking about the publication at Open Democracy?
Yes, that one.
I was only editor. I just helped to my students, because I work at ACA, American University.
So you were helping them to write that.
Yeah, my students working, actually. It was their report, and we just wanted to show up another part of this case, because, we have a very strong tradition view that ladies, women, they cannot work in that way.
But apparently it's not illegal. Has there been any move to make a law, at least for underage girls, to make this illegal and to arrest some of these?
Yeah, we tried to find out what is legal and what is illegal. And mostly that kind of projects, I don't know, in other words, to explain this, webcam modeling.
It seems to me like a type of prostitution, basically. It's just a modern form of prostitution.
Depends on in how you will see, how you will look. In what country we live? We live in a country where we have to follow the people's agreement or law system. So according to the law system, so we didn't find any illegal stuff of that kind of business. But of course, but why they do? Why? Because probably it's totally connected to the women's rights. Because if now I will bring my CV, and somebody else, one guy, will bring their CV, and we will participate in maybe for one position and in one competition. Probably he will win just because he's a boy.
You feel like there's a very strong bias towards
Yes.
men in Kyrgyz society.
And we should understand what kind of opportunities Kyrgyz women had in Kyrgyzstan.
I mean, I myself was hoping that the situation for women had improved, because when I lived in Bishkek, it was 2012 to 2014, and at that time, the parliament was discussing tightening the laws against kidnapping of women, because I remember this very famous, someone pointed out that you would face a longer jail sentence for stealing your neighbor's sheep than you would from kidnapping, taking a girl off the street and forcing her to marry. It was a stronger jail time for, and so there were some women parliamentarians that were trying to make this crime much more serious. But then there was always this backlash, because some people would say, "Oh, this is our tradition." And I was just hoping that things were getting better, but it sounds like maybe not.
What about other traditions? We have so many traditions, to raise your kids, to raise your daughter, and then to help her to get married. So parents, mostly, they don't help to get a strong career for their daughter.
They just think that their daughter will go to the other family and leave them, and
that's why women in Kyrgyzstan, I mean, not all actually, the mostly part, they don't know how to build their. They cannot understand their potential.
They don't see their potential.
They don't see their potential. And probably that's why they see that, maybe I'm cute, I'm beautiful.
I better make some money while I can, while I'm still young and attractive.
And I'm attractive, and I can get money from web modeling, because I'm not smart enough to go to the governmental system, to work at municipal system, who knows, whatever, in bank system.
I mean, I really view it as it's a type of human trafficking. It takes place, it's not like they're leaving the country and they're being forced into prostitution in China or in Turkey. But it's a similar type of, it seems to me that business is actually a pathway into that, because some of those girls could be easily, once they're lured into that web modeling business, the people that run those businesses could easily sell them to human traffickers in Turkey or in China or in Russia. Or
you mean physically? Really?
I think it's a pathway into that, yeah, because those type of women that are lured into that business, like you say, they don't see that they have much potential, and they can be very easily...
So probably journalists need to take an attention on it and just try to prove your hypothesis.
Maybe. I mean, I know that human trafficking is a big problem in this region. So a lot of girls have been told, go to Turkey and you're going to work in a restaurant. And then they get there and someone takes away their passport, and then here you go, you're now living in a brothel and you're a prostitute. And that happens.
During nighttime, they're prostitutes, and at the daytime, they're waitress.
Yeah, exactly. So it happens to hundreds and hundreds of women, and they can easily be fooled or tricked into this type of business, especially when they're already kind of in that company of people that organize that type of business.
We fixed it on a few cases when our state police, actually, they catched some cases. It was actually taken under the court. There was a few girls. They were been working for web modeling and under 18. But we asked to provide any statistics. So how often you catch that kind of case? You found out how many cases you found out for per year, but unfortunately, our Ministry of Internal Affairs, they don't provide that kind of statistics.
Interesting. Has Kyrgyzstan brought back any women and children from Syria and Iraq that were part of the Islamic State?
Ooh, it's probably because it's not my topic of interest, and I'm really bad. But I heard, I mean, I read news as anyone reads news, and some political scientists, they provide their quotes, they're talking that many people, they're coming back from Syria. And of course, in Kyrgyzstan, there are the lack of systematically maybe project,
social support,
psychological support.
They need help to find jobs, to rebuild their lives.
For people who coming back from Syria.
Yeah, I'm just always also curious about that topic, because as these people return, either on their own or if the government helps them to return, it won't be easy for them to reintegrate into society unless they have some support, unless they have some help. And
to help them realize what kind of ideology they used to follow.
Are you tracking like extremist ideology in Kyrgyzstan? I know that's not your exact area of expertise, but have you noticed any changes in the last few years about whether this ideology is attractive to young people?
I don't believe that Kyrgyzstan is a place who making extremists or creating extremists. It's a totally wrong view, totally wrong. And what does mean extremism and what does mean terrorism? It's totally different topics. But in Kyrgyzstan, so just simply we follow Russian law system, and so we are bringing everyone who just writing some posts with hate speech on Facebook, and we taking their cases to the court and calling them terrorists or extremists.
Just for Facebook posts?
We have actually we have official statistics. For last year, or 2 years, we had 400 cases opened under the article extremism and terrorism. But mostly part of that, it's all only posting the hate speech on social media.
So the government is actively monitoring people's speech on social media.
That's why we have an image now that we are raising extremists in Kyrgyzstan and exporting them to Central Asia and abroad. So it's my opinion, and many people can find enough arguments that it's a totally wrong view.
Interesting. How are we for time? Oh, okay. Well, thank you so much for the interesting discussion. It's been really enjoyable to talk with you, and I wish you all the best of luck with your family life.
Thank you.
You have a lot of exciting things in store, and I hope that you'll continue. Of course, you'll take a pause, but I hope that you'll continue in your work as a journalist, as a professor of journalism, to continue to inspire the next generation of women who want to enter this field. And it was a pleasure to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for a great invitation. It was a great opportunity, actually, to meet society, Kazakhstan, Kazakh young people, to see here. I mean, so many expressions, so many motivational speeches I heard here. And it's also, I hope, so it take me like on the line for the next year, and then
come back next year.
Thank
with
you.
Your baby. Okay. Thank you so much, Elnura.